Alright, so as I was saying in the other video for the adverb, I was going to make a quick video to kind of do a rundown of this Peavey DEP 3.2 second delay. I didn't really see anything that was really explicit about this, so I thought I'd do a really quick informal run through of what it can do and sort of how it sounds and such. So starting out with the basics, for sound input I've got an SR16 running through the front here. And I have my PVSP right here loading up. I got a couple of DX7 sounds going through that as well. So, all right. So now, let's get on with it. All right, so we have the input here, which is your signal, strength, and such. You got your different delay ranges, milliseconds, 3, 12, 50, 200, 800, 320, or 3200, and then you got the sample delay settings, which we'll get into in a second. You got your adjustment here, which lets you basically fine-tune each of these particular settings. But then you also have modulation, which works with that side by side, and these two work together. So this is your LFO, and this is just a very hard setting. So we'll start with that off. We'll set that there. Your feedback is your typical, like your sort of your tail for your delay, how many times it repeats before it goes quiet and no longer audible. If you turn up really high on this particular unit, it definitely will delay for a long time. I don't think it's quite infinite, but it certainly will continue to sort of layer upon layer and just get really crazy and noisy and stuff. So you got your phase inversion, which can be pretty interesting and can create some cool effects depending on which modes you're set to. So we'll tinker with that a little bit. You've got a sample mode here where you can actually grab a sound as it's coming in real time and then trigger to play that sample that you took back. I did have some hopes that I could do some fun things with that through the triggers on the back, but the way they're sort of wired, so they don't really work like the way you would expect a typical like CV driven device where, you know, nothing happens until you send some voltage to it. So I think it's working more, it's meant to work with a pedal, and because of that it creates a problem. So I'll have to figure out something later. But anyway, so I guess my intent was I would love to be able to sort of trigger it to play back a particular snippet it grabs from the song or performance in real time, and then trigger the playback of that particular snippet. So anyway, so we got a hold button here, which just basically says, okay, stop being a delay device, just grab whatever is currently in memory, no longer take any new input, and just repeat that over and over again forever. And then a bypass button, which of course just bypasses all the effects and kills everything. You have your dry output and you have your effects output, so you can mix and match those to get a blend of, you know, what you want more of. So let's move on. Let's just run a drum beat here. So right now it should be dry, pretty much just set to, you're just hearing the drum beat. Okay, so we got this. All right, so with that there, you can see your input. Of course, you can overdrive the signal a little bit if you want to. Doesn't seem to digitally clip that much, but so it's pretty forgiving. So you get the sort of 3 milliseconds. Let's go ahead and turn up the effect. So one thing that I really like about this is here, it's like this particular sound, you have a lot of control because you can actually just turn this knob without the LFO going. But if you want to get more of a chorusy, airy, you know, sound, you can do something like this, where you turn up the depth. And of course, if you turn your feedback, you're going to give it more of an edge. But if you turn phase on, it changes the character. You can hear it's actually changing the sound. And of course, if you go crazy, it'll definitely feedback and like go into a loop. Alright, so then we got that right there, so we'll move this back out. So let's move to 12. So now you can sort of, it gets a little bit more robotic. And again. And then you feel the feedback. Kind of a flangey. Like this particular unit doesn't really do choruses, I would say, as well, but it has its own character, so I don't miss it. So as you can see here, so it's more like doubling effect in this mode, this 50 millisecond area. And of course, almost a kind of reverb. And this starts getting into a little bit of the weird stuff. As you can see. Okay, so this is definitely an echo. You know, this is no longer just doubling. This is more of a true echo, but it's a very tight echo still. And of course, things get pretty wacky if you start playing with the modulation stuff, like max it out. So I'll do something real quick as a little break here. I'm going to grab this. So I just held the hold button and I stopped the drum machine, and now you can see, you can hear what's going on. The modulation's going kind of crazy. We'll slow that down and see. And of course, while it's on hold, you can still hit drum beat again. You can hit, right? But it's no longer affecting the drum beat. It's just messing around with its own sound. But if I turn off the hold again, we're back in business. So, and again, as you get into the other ones here, your more typical delays. So it's got a little bit of lingering ghosting from the past memory from the performances and stuff. So, all right. But you can see now it's a 3.2 second delay. Hit stop. All right. So I had no feedback, so it just ended immediately. The idea here is that now we can try the sample stuff. So go to this mode right here. Let's do sample 1. Yeah, why not? Okay, so you can see it's not saying it's busy. Now I'll go ahead and click. Now if I start doing, I guess I'll play something on the piano. Here, Ashton, do me a favor. Hit a couple of notes here on this keyboard here. In just a second when I say, okay? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and right about it. Yeah, that bottom row right there. So go ahead and try it. All right. No, that's good. Thank you. Now check it out. Now take off record. And that can be triggered from the back. So there's some interesting possibilities as far as that goes. So, you know, it's pretty straightforward, and it's not, you know, like there's only one sample. Obviously, a new recording is going to basically bypass that one. So if I set up, for example, I do record again. Let's see what happens if I just do this. Okay. So yeah, all right, and that's kind of a rundown of some of the things it can do. It's a pretty cool unit, and I definitely like it for the character that it has. And yeah, it's really fun. Again, my only real gripe is that, you know, and the reason why I've always been more fond of the Digitech RDS delays, which are very similar in features, other than of course the sample mode, was when you would get something into memory on it, and let's say, for example, let's do this here. So we go, okay, I'll do just start this regular delay. Okay. Okay. So now this is the weird little delay. So I've got hold on, so this is playing forever. And I can turn this up. This is kind of cool. And of course you got your modulation stuff, so you can get kind of crazy with that. But here's the thing though. If you change it from 3200 to this, it truncates it. Which is great and fun, but the RDSs would actually remember the original sample in memory, so when you do go back to like this, it doesn't really remember anything. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Are you done?
Bye.